Hi and welcome back. Some of you may be wondering what in the dickens is a CA hinge. So I'm going to explain it to you. These are CA hinges. They come in a nice small box. They're $3.29 from Great Plains. You get them at Tower Hobbies. And these are 3/4 inch by 1 inch. And that's a standard size. And so this is what it looks like. It's a wafer thin piece of fiber, I guess you'd call it. You can see the fibrous things that are in it. So it's some kind of fibrous material. It's very thin, and what you do is the way it's very strong, obviously, and the CA glue or cyanoacrylic glue, better known as super glue, is what you glue these with. So what happens is you got the wing and you got an aileron, say. You cut a small little slot in the wing, small little slot on the other side, opposite for the aileron, and you push this into the wing, and then you push it into the aileron, and then you drop some CA glue on it. But in the process of pushing it in, you might push it in all the way because the wing is hollow or the aileron is hollow. So what you do when you try to install a CA hinge is you take a T-pin, a small little pin with a T on it, and you stab the CA hinge right in the middle. Okay, you can't see what I'm doing. Alright, I'm probably too far away. But I'm going to take and push a straight pin like that through the CA hinge. That way, when you push the CA hinge into the wing, it won't go any farther than the pin, and then when you push the aileron onto the CA hinge, the two will be centered up. And then when you get ready to glue it, you touch glue on both sides of the little hole that I got, and you pull out the T-pin, and the CA will dry very quickly, and this fibrous material with the CA will bond quickly to the balsa wood in the wing and the aileron, and this thing will very unlikely for it to ever break. So that's a CA hinge, and I'm going to show you in the next segment how you glue these to the control surfaces of the SIG Kadet LT-40. Thank you. Welcome again to the next segment. This segment is going to be about gluing the CA hinges on all the control surfaces. So I'm going to start with the elevator, then do the rudder, and then the wings. In order to do this, you got to have some things ready. First off, you can see I've got a towel down on the bench to protect the bench and to make it work. As far as glue, I use two different kinds of glue sometimes, two different brands of glue. You're going to be using thin CA glue. This is the Dynamite brand from Horizon Hobby. And this is the Mercury adhesive thin CA. And varying prices. The Mercury on Horizon Hobby is about $5. The Dynamite thin CA is on Horizon Hobby for about $4. And then you're also going to want to have some debonder, and I use two different kinds there. This is the Mercury debonder, and it has a spray bottle, so it's easier to spray on and then wipe off with a paper towel. And this is the Great Plains debonder, and it has a tip in case you need to get in somewhere. Sometimes you want to use a spray, sometimes you want to use a tip. And speaking of tips, both the mercury and the dynamite, has inside the cap there a metal, I don't know if you can see it or not, down in the bottom there is a metal pin that keeps the CA open when you close it. In other words, it prevents the tip of the applicator from getting clogged up, and I like that. Not all CA glues have that metal pin in there. And then we're also going to use, because it's thin CA, we're going to use a Hobbyco CA applicator tip, and it comes in a package of 6. They look like this, and it's very thin because the thin CA will just spill all over the place if you use just a regular hole. So we'll use a thin CA applicator, and and also have a number of paper towels handy to clean up any spills or drops. So we'll get started in just a second. Okay, so we're ready to get started. Remember that we've already got all the bubbles and wrinkles and stuff out of this. You want to make sure you do that before you CA the hinges, because the heat may affect the CA. So I'm going to use the mercury adhesive, and I'm going to go ahead and apply the tip to it. It's sometimes hard to get on there, but just get it on there nice and tight, and that'll be ready to go. Now, the other thing you got to do is make sure that the both ends of the elevator are even with the horizontal stab. What you're going to be doing is, because you can push these CA hinges, you can probably see that there's a gap there right now. You can push these down so that gap disappears, but you're going to want to be able to flex it, not maybe 60 degrees, not to 90 necessarily, so that the gap, and you should sight across the gap and see that the gap is even on both ends. And you'll probably even see, I think you can see it there, a little hole in the CA hinge right there. Okay? And you also want to count how many hinges there are. For the horizontal stab, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 hinges. So you want to know how many hinges you're going to do. And what we're going to do is apply the CA to one side. We're going to flex it, apply the CA to one side, turn it over, flex it, and apply the CA to the other side. I'm going to set this down on the edge of the table here to make it easier. And so here we go. Let me make sure that the CA is going to come out. It should. And we're going to apply 4 drops, 2 on each side of the hinge. 2 on the left here. So let's see, get the CA running. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I got a little CA on the covering. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good. I'm going to take a little paper towel here and wipe up the little spot I got on the aileron, on the horizontal stab. One little spot there. Turn this over. Okay, flex it down a little and put in 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got a little extra on that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. That one actually got 5, but that'll be okay. Alright, let me wipe off some of this CA. It's not dry yet, so I don't really need the debonder. Okay. Now what you want to do is sight along there and make sure that there's no CA. Here we go. You want to make sure there's no CA blocking up the gap, because you do need a gap for the hinge to flex. And the hinge is about 3/4 of an inch long, and so but you do want to have a gap, and you do want that to dry. Now you want that to dry 15 minutes at a minimum. I usually wait 30. In fact, I may not flex it at all for a while. When you first flex it, it'll be stiff, but after 15 or 20 flexes, it'll be fine. You want it to be stiff after gluing. And so we'll leave that there, and we'll go on to the vertical fin and the elevator and the rudder. Okay, so if you look there, there's 1, 2 CA hinges, and the gap is pretty close. So I'm going to flex it back about 60 degrees. I'm sorry, I missed. There's 3 hinges. There's one at the top, one in the middle, and one toward the bottom. So there's 3 hinges. That's why you flex it, make sure it's in good shape. Okay. So let's do this one. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and let's go ahead and turn it over. Do the other side. I'm holding it down with my thumb to open the gap a little. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you'll see that this CA, thin CA, wicks very quickly, and got a couple of drops on the outside. I'll wipe those off. I think I got 1 drop on this side that I probably need to wipe off. And the gap looks good, and so we're now going to let that dry for a few minutes. Again, I'll probably let these dry for at least 30 minutes before I flex them, and I'm going to stop and switch over to the wings. Okay, I'm back and ready to do a wing, and I'm going to start with a sip of tea. Okay, so the wing has 4 hinges on it. Okay, there's 4 hinges across there. But the important point here is you got to make sure that this gap right here is at least say 1/8 of an inch. Okay, because you don't want that rubbing on the fixed side of the wing. So that's a good gap. I've flexed it back and forth, and if you look at this end, this is a good curve there, and you got about 1/8 of an inch gap there. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these. The other thing I noticed on the last ones is you get a lot of bubbles in this tip. So what I'm going to do is put the tip over and get all those bubbles out and get a nice drop. There we go. onto a paper towel. Okay, so this is already flexed down. I'm going to go ahead and start with, I got a little on my pants. Okay, here we go. No bubbles. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Flip it over. Flex it down the other way. Find where the hinge is. Where'd the hinge go? Alright, there it is. One, 2, 3, 4. 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. So I'm going to check my gap. That still looks good. Check the gap all the way across. That time I don't think I got any drops on the covering. And one little drop on the covering there. Let me get that. That's just for appearance purposes. If that drop dried, it would, you know, show. But there's another drop on the covering. Paper towel will actually fit in that gap. I've also noticed that even since I did tighten this down after a day or two of being sitting, I've seen a couple of small wrinkles and small bubbles coming back up. That happens, and before we assemble the wing, I'll make sure that those are glued down. Okay, so that works good. Let's get the other wing. Okay, again, I got four hinges and nice steady hand here. You get the juices flowing. One, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 4. Okay. Now what I'm doing is with my left hand over here, you probably can't see that, I'm holding it down with my thumb and then using my right hand to put the CA in. So again, we're going to check. Got a bit of CA on the hinge here. Let me dab that out. I'm not going to use any debonder because I don't want to weaken the CA joint at this time. Unless we've made a big mess. You have to just do this slowly and carefully. And let's see. 4, that side looks good. 1, 2, 3, 4, that side looks good. Okay, so that's it. I got a couple of spots on my hand. I'll use a debonder to clean my hands and then wash them. but that's CAing the hinges down. Okay, I'm back, and after reviewing the videotape, I noticed on the last wing I only CA'd one side of the hinge. So if you caught that, great. If you didn't, I caught it on the videotape and put CA on the second side of the hinge. So when you're doing those, make sure you remember to put CA on both sides of the hinges. Thank you. Okay, after doing the CA gluing, I'm going to see if we can rescue the fine little tip. I'm going to use the CA debonder bottle that has a point on it, and I'm going to stick the point into the top of the tip and then just squeeze enough to get CA debonder dripping out, which is good because I get a little CA on my hand, debonder on my hands. Got a little CA on them, and that seems to have cleared the. I'll shake it a little bit. That seems to have cleared all the bubbles out, and any bubbles that are there are probably debonder, which is fine. So we'll see if that. I may try to use this one again to see if that actually extends the life of them, but we'll see. I'll let you know later.